Did you hear about Unity Engine wanting a pay cut for every game installation? Insane. It's super anti-developer. You were able to develop a game for Unity fairly cheap in the past. Maybe they didn't make enough money off the product in the past, and now they're trying to make up the deficit or something and please their shareholders, but it's a really, really bad precedent. And I saw a developer actually comment on it. I guess they're making a new game, or they're just shipping a game now on Game Pass. But the problem is, and I didn't even think of this, if people download the game on Game Pass, right, that counts towards the install limits. So this company is going to be punished for getting millions of installs for Game Pass, and they're actually going to be charged because too many people are playing their game. If your game does too well, you're going to lose money because you have to pay for each install. It's really bad. Then this developer is saying, if Unity doesn't reverse this, then we're going to have to switch to a different engine, which is really awful. Like, that's really terrible because that involves, you're going to have to learn new architecture. You might have to learn new programming languages. You are going to have to port all of your, if you already have stuff built, if you already have an engine built for your game, you're going to have to port all of that over to something like Unreal. That's terrible what Unity's implemented, and they definitely need to roll that back. I mean, they say Unity could take a fee that puts an enormous dent in our income and threatens the sustainability of our business. And that's before we even think about sales on other platforms or pirated installs of the game or multiple installs by the same user, because seemingly multiple installs by the same user, they'll still get charged multiple times, and that will throw the numbers off as well. So they've only made the sale once, but that user's installing it on multiple machines or something. It's not ideal. Absolutely not ideal. The dev community should rightfully be up in arms about this because it is insane. Unity regrouped and now says only the initial installation of a game triggers a fee. Demos mostly won't trigger fees. Devs not on the hook for Game Pass. Okay. That's a little better that they're not on the hook for Game Pass. Demos mostly won't trigger fees is really fucked up still. Mostly? Like, dude, it's a free demo. Are you kidding me? Only the initial install trigger. Oh, don't worry, guys. You just won't get double billed for something you didn't make money off of as a developer. Don't worry, guys. We won't double bill you in a egregiously greedy, money-grubbing way. We won't do that. We won't fuck you over on purpose. We will still charge you a horrible rate for something that's completely fucking asinine in the first place, which is an install. As for Game Pass and other subscription services, Witten said that developers like AgroCrab would not be on the hook as the fees are charged to distributors, which in the Game Pass example would be Microsoft. Okay, so it's charged to distributors. But if you're indie, that still fucks you because you are the distributor. I'm sure Microsoft's going to love that. Do they mean Steam? Steam distributes Unity games. Will they be paying Unity? Only for subscription services you pay to the distributor. Won't this discourage Microsoft from adding any Unity games to Game Pass since they get a ton of downloads and Microsoft will get charged per install? Yeah, it probably will. It probably will discourage Microsoft, and it'll discourage them from supporting any Unity games, which once again fucks over smaller devs because only smaller devs are going to be using Unity. Unreal charges a percentage, I guess. So if you're below this threshold here of installs, you might be better off with Unreal because you're not going to have to pay that fee. So if you're in the 190,000, essentially below 200,000 downloads, and your game is fairly cheap at like $5 or something. Yeah, I mean, even for a small business, this Unity might still, that's unfortunate, but Unity still might be the cheaper route if that spreadsheet math is accurate. Damn. Yeah, I mean, charging 3 cents for a download versus a 5% fee on all sales, like, that is still more competitive than Unreal, so I take that back. But that's still, I mean, that hurts, man. Like, for a small dev, $30,000 is a lot of money. $100,000 is a lot of money if your game does really well. Now you're punished for your game doing really well. And that's the thing. I am sure Unity knows prevalence of Unreal and how much better Unreal's gotten. And I think they believe that they can hike their prices up because Unreal is a little more expensive, but they're saying, like, what are you going to do? Oh, what are you going to switch engines? You're going to port all your stuff? I doubt it. That's kind of what Unity's saying here. They're saying to all these devs who have invested so much time and resources into their platform, into this engine, they're saying, what are you going to do? You going to leave? You're going to use something else? Yeah, good luck. That's a fucking nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare headache. And it is. So they think they can get more money and they're going to try. But like I said, if you're in this range, if you're making a game for $5 or less in price to retail and it sells 190,000 copies, and you make it on Unreal, you're looking at a $0 fee. So whereas it'd be 2,000 on Unity. Do you think you'd ship 200,000 units? If not, maybe do it in Unreal. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Charge it for cheap. Godot is a free and open source game engine. Interesting. I haven't heard Godot. I haven't heard about it. I'm sure it's good. This person actually mentions Godot right here. What language is it? C# and its own proprietary G script. Cool. Yeah, cool. So that's a really good Unity equivalent then, because Unity is all C# and JavaScript, which I personally prefer. I coded in C# more than JavaScript. So that's a really good alternative. If you've been building stuff in Unity with C# scripts, fucking Godot. That sounds like a great alternative for sure. That'd be fairly easy to port over. It has no account requirement and runs from an executable with no installation required. That is very, very cool. I am in pre-production for a new game project. Maybe I'll look into Godot. Let's fucking bookmark it. Pretty good contender there. I've been trying out a few different engines, seeing what features I like more. Because I've used Unity, and honestly, I was thinking of going back to Unity, but now I'm not. There's no fucking way. That's too iffy for me. So yeah, Godot. That sounds like a great idea. Good recommend, Onion Wizard. It doesn't ask for royalties either. Been using it for almost a year. Been loving it so far. That's awesome. That is really awesome. If you're making a game, you should. I don't know if you have it on your channel or anything, but I'd definitely take a look. If you ever published or posted about it, I'd definitely take a look. Sounds awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, you can bind Oh, that's really sick. So you can get extensions that make it so that it can run you can code in any language. That's really sick, man. That's a really good idea then. If you have to port any Unity projects, because like I said, they're mostly JavaScript and C#. That sounds like a really good alternative because you'll have the language support and porting will be a lot easier. I also see cool Blender files importing directly for the asset pipeline, FBX formats. Very cool that it uses FBX. It's very cool stuff. Oh man, I'm intrigued. Good call out. I'm definitely intrigued. That's awesome. And it looks very similar to Unity in how it's laid out just by looking at this interface. Seems very similar. Very, very, very similar actually. So all the old versions are archived, so if you don't like the latest Godot, you can use an older version of mandatory automatic updates. That is awesome, man. That's really exciting. I'm definitely going to take a look at that. I'm definitely going to download that. Fiddle around with that. Yeah, because this Unity shit, I mean, it's not cool. It is not cool one bit. That is for sure. So definitely everyone, if they're working in Unity, should be looking for an alternative right now, getting away from that platform. Because even if they roll back these changes that they've wanted to implement, the fact that this was even something on their mind, the fact that they were going to do this, it's a bad sign. You got to get out of there. You got to jump ship. This is your business, or this is your passion project or whatever. You got to protect that. You got to get the fuck away from a platform that's going to nickel and dime you like that, or rug pull you like this, mid development, and like hike their prices and start charging for installs in a really shitty way. There are all other alternatives. I know it's really fucking annoying to port your stuff over and to start fresh on a new platform, but you'll probably be happy that you did. And I think there's more competitors out there than ever. So, you definitely have a lot of options. Like I said, Game Maker, this Godot thing seems awesome. Unreal seems great if you plan on making a fairly cheap game and you don't expect to sell a lot of copies. Yeah, there's a lot of other alternatives. So I definitely look into that. It's unfortunate. Unity used to be the GOAT. Unity used to be like a super accessible indie small developer tool. It seems like, they're going in a bit of a different direction and trying to get their bread a little bit more. And I made prototypes in Unity and stuff like that. I enjoyed using Unity, but I also don't believe that Unity does everything perfectly, and I'm sure that there's other engines out there that can do a lot of things better than Unity anyway. So these are the problems with getting married to certain tools and shit like that. It's just like you'll get punished, and that's also the problem with getting married to with programming in general, whether it's game dev or not. Like getting married to one language, getting married to one IDE, getting married to one engine. It's just like, you could just get unlucky sometimes, and you get your wrist slapped in a certain way like this, or they stop supporting it, or prices change, API changes, API pricing changes or something. Like, anything can happen, and then all of a sudden your shit kind of gets fucked up. And so you got to be flexible. You got to be willing to be flexible and be open-minded and try to like be adaptable and learn new tools and be ready to make a switch for your business, for your passion project, to get your shit done. You know what I mean? If Adobe started fucking my shit up tomorrow, I'd instantly go over to DaVinci Resolve. You know what I mean? Like, I'd have no qualms about that. Like, I'm ready to do that. I can learn it. I've already used it. I have learned it. It's not what I use currently, but I'm ready to. I'm ready to jump ship at a moment's notice if I have to, Same with Streamlabs for streaming. I was using Streamlabs for a while, and then Streamlabs had some really bad anti-consumer things that came out about them, and it was something I didn't want to have my shit tied to, you know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, they have bad business acumen. That's going to eventually fuck me over, I'm sure, at some point. So I jump ship. I go to regular OBS, and port all my stuff over. Like, it's annoying, but you got to be ready to do that shit. Protect yourself. Yeah, the problem with marriage in general. Yeah, absolutely. Ninja. I was married to paint.net. It's what I missed the most about switching to Linux. Yeah, my boy was a paint.net fan as well. I can't say the same, but I also don't have the patience for Linux. That is some whack shit that Unity's pulling, and it might change Game Pass quite a bit, to be honest. It might really change the games that you'll see on Game Pass, because now Microsoft's gonna have to foot the bill per install, and there's no way they can make money off that.